My breath caught. The plush red carpet ended right at my feet, but a stiff arm blocked my way. A man in a crisp suit stared down at me. His eyes were cold. "Ma'am, this is a private event," he said. His voice was low, hard. I clutched my small, beaded purse. My invitation was inside. "I have an invitation," I managed to say. My voice trembled slightly. Another guard, taller, with a meaner look, stepped up beside him. He smirked. "Everyone says that, sweetheart." Sweetheart. The word dripped with scorn. My cheeks burned. I felt so small, so out of place. This was supposed to be my night, a night I had dreamed of for so long. Just hours before, my apartment buzzed with happy nerves. My best friend Maya helped me with my dress. It was a deep sapphire blue, a gift from my mom who'd saved up for it. "It looks like a starry night, honey," Mom had said over the phone, her voice thick with pride. My daughter hosting the Children's Future Fund Gala. Who would have thought? We both laughed, remembering my clumsy school play performances. Maya twirled me around. "Okay, superstar, you look like a queen ready to claim her throne," she declared. I laughed, but a part of me clung to that image. This gala was huge. The Children's Future Fund annual event, the most prestigious charity night in the city. They raised millions every year for kids who had so little. And this year was a milestone for me. I had poured my entire soul into this for months. My small foundation, Hope Seeds, which I started from my tiny living room with my own savings, was partnering with them. It felt like a validation of every late night, every sacrifice. I practiced my speech in front of the mirror until Maya knew it by heart too. "Miney, it's perfect. Speak from your heart. That's why they chose you," she'd said, squeezing my hand. This wasn't just about a fancy party or wearing a beautiful gown. It was about the children. It was about finally having a platform big enough to truly make a difference. My heart swelled with a mixture of excitement and sheer terror. What if I stumbled over my words? What if I wasn't good enough? Back at the entrance, the guards were like granite statues, unmovable, unfeeling. "Let me see your ID then," the first one grumbled, his tone implying I was wasting his precious time. I fumbled for my small beaded purse. My hands shook so much the beads rattled softly, a nervous little sound in the opulent silence of the entryway. I pulled out my driver's license, and the elegant cream-colored invitation, its embossed letters feeling heavy in my trembling fingers. He snatched the invitation, barely giving it a glance, then scrutinized my license. He looked from the photo to my face, then back again. Then he looked me up and down. Slowly, deliberately. His gaze lingered, making me feel like an insect under a microscope. As if my dress, my carefully styled hair, my very skin were all wrong for this place. "This doesn't look right," he finally announced, his voice flat, handing back my ID. My heart pounded against my ribs like a trapped bird. What do you mean? It doesn't look right," I whispered. "That's me. That's my name. Miney Williams. The invitation clearly states my name." He exchanged a loaded look with the other guard, who had a permanent sneer etched on his face. "We have a list of approved guests," the second guard said, his voice dripping with condescension. "And your name isn't on it, so you're not coming in." Panic, cold and sharp, clawed at my throat. "But it has to be. I'm supposed to be here." My voice was barely audible even to myself. People were starting to stare now, gliding past in their shimmering gowns and perfectly tailored tuxedos. They paused, their conversations dying down, their eyes, curious at first, then dismissive, slid over me. I could hear snatches of whispers. "What's her problem? Always someone trying to crash these things." Each whisper was a tiny needle pricking my skin. My carefully built confidence, the queen Maya had seen, crumbled into dust. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me whole. I tried to keep my voice even, despite the tremor that ran through it. "There must be a mistake. A simple misunderstanding. Can you please check again? Or perhaps look under a mem for Hope Seeds. Or maybe I can call someone inside." I reached for my phone and my purse, my fingers searching for that familiar rectangular shape. My lifeline. The screen was black. Dead battery. Of course. In my nervous excitement getting ready, I'd forgotten to charge it fully. A wave of nausea hit me. No phone, no way to call Mrs. Henderson, the kind, formidable event organizer who had championed me. She was the one who believed in my little foundation. She was the one who had personally invited me to do so much more than just attend this gala. The guards weren't moving. Their arms remained crossed. Their expressions were bored, verging on hostile. Look, lady, we don't have time for this. Just move along, okay? You're holding up the line for actual guests. His voice was rougher now, louder, impatient, humiliatingly public. Tears pricked the back of my eyes, hot and stinging. I blinked them back fiercely. I would not cry. Not here. Not in front of these men, these judging eyes. I took a shaky breath, then through the blur of my unshed tears, I saw him. Mr. Albright, a prominent local businessman, a wealthy donor. I'd met him twice at planning meetings for the gala. He knew who I was. He was walking right towards the entrance, his wife on his arm. Our eyes met. For a fleeting second, I saw recognition flicker in his. A lifeline. Then just as quickly, it was gone. He looked away, a slight frown creasing his brow, as if I were a mildly unpleasant sight. He nodded curtly at the guards, who parted for him like the Red Sea, and he and his wife swept past me, disappearing into the warmth and light of the ballroom. He knew me. He knew I was involved, but he pretended he didn't. That cut deeper, far deeper than the guards' scorn. In that moment, I felt utterly, completely alone. My shoulders slumped. The fight went out of me. Hope was a tiny flickering candle flame about to be snuffed out. I was about to turn away, to walk back to the lonely taxi stand, the sapphire dress suddenly feeling like a costume for a part I wasn't allowed to play. Defeated, humiliated, crushed. Maybe they were right. Maybe this world wasn't for me. Maybe I didn't belong. Just as I took a step back, a flurry of activity erupted from inside the grand doors. A woman with a sleek silver headset and a clipboard rushed towards the entrance. It was Sarah, Mrs. Henderson's ever-efficient, ever-kind executive assistant. Her eyes, sharp and intelligent, scanned the queue of waiting guests, a slight frown of concern on her face. Then her gaze landed on me, standing forlornly to the side. Relief washed over her features instantly. Then just as quickly, confusion, followed by genuine alarm. "Imani, there you are," she exclaimed, her voice carrying clearly. She hurried towards me, weaving through the other guests. "We've been so worried. Mrs. Henderson is asking for you. Everyone's waiting for the program to start," she said, her brow furrowed with concern, as she took in my distressed state. She reached for my arm, her touch firm and reassuring. The guards looked surprised by her arrival, their stony expressions faltering. They shifted uncomfortably from one foot to the other. Sarah didn't even glance their way at first. Her focus was entirely on me. "Are you okay? You look pale." She started to gently pull me forward, towards the entrance. The first guard, the one who had been so dismissive, put his arm out again, but this time it was hesitant. "Ma'am," he began, his voice lacking its earlier arrogance. She's not on the list. We checked. She doesn't have clearance." Sarah stopped. She turned slowly to face the guard, her usually pleasant expression, replaced by one of utter disbelief, then dawning anger. "Not on the list," she repeated, her voice dangerously quiet. "What on earth are you talking about? This is Miss Imani Williams." She looked from the guard's now flustered face to me, noting my tear-bright eyes and trembling lip, then back to the guard. Her eyes narrowed. "Of course she's on the list. It's impossible for her not to be. She's our host for the evening." The words hung in the air, each one landing like a hammer blow. Host, for the evening. The guard's jaw literally dropped. His mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. His eyes, which had been so cold and dismissive just moments before, were now wide with shock and a rapidly dawning horror. He shot a panicked look at his partner, who suddenly found the pattern of the carpet incredibly fascinating, avoiding everyone's gaze. The cruel smirk that had been plastered on the second guard's face was gone, replaced by a pasty, sick look. The first guard's face turned a blotchy shade of pale, then flushed a deep, embarrassed red. He stammered, his voice cracking. Host, for the whole evening. But, she didn't say. She didn't tell us who she was. Why would she need to announce her role to security? Sarah's voice was crisp, sharp as broken glass. She has an invitation. She is a guest, and she is, as I have now told you twice, our host. She turned to me then, her expression softening immediately with genuine concern and apology. Imani, are you all right? What happened here? These men. I took a deep, shaky breath. The curious, whispering stares of the other guests nearby felt different now. They were no longer looks of dismissal, but of shock, intrigue. Some even looked a little ashamed, as if they were complicit by their silence. I looked directly at the first guard, the one who had judged me so harshly. His eyes couldn't meet mine. He stared at a point somewhere over my shoulder. They didn't believe I belonged here, I said, my voice quiet but steady, carrying the weight of the last 20 minutes of agony. They told me my name wasn't on the list. Just then, Mrs. Henderson herself appeared at the doorway, a vision of elegance and authority. She was looking for Sarah, and for me. Her kind eyes took in the scene in an instant, me pale and distressed, Sarah looking furious, the two guards now looking like naughty schoolboys caught red-handed. She understood immediately, her face usually warm and welcoming, tightened with displeasure. Is there a problem here, gentlemen? She asked. Her voice was calm, perfectly modulated, but it carried an undeniable undercurrent of steel. The guards wilted. They looked like they desperately wanted the plush red carpet to open up and swallow them whole. And no, ma'am. No problem at all, Mrs. Henderson, the first one mumbled, his voice barely a squeak. Just a slight misunderstanding. It's all sorted now. His eyes darted nervously towards me, then away again. A misunderstanding. Mrs. Henderson arched an eyebrow. It seems quite a significant one, from where I'm standing. She didn't press them further in public, but her look promised a later reckoning. She turned to me, her expression filled with warmth and profound apology. Imani, my dear girl, I am so profoundly sorry you had to experience this. This is inexcusable. Please, come in. Everyone is incredibly eager to meet you, to hear you speak. She put a comforting arm around my shoulders, a gesture that spoke volumes to everyone watching. She personally led me past the now very humble, very quiet guards, past the velvet rope that had been such an impossible barrier, onto the plush red carpet that had seemed miles away just minutes ago. As I walked in, my head held high, I could feel their eyes on my back. The eyes of the humiliated guards, the eyes of the guests who had witnessed my public shaming. But now, I clutched my small beaded purse not in nervousness, but with a newfound resolve. The sapphire dress, my mother's gift, shimmered under the grand lights of the foyer. Maya was right. Tonight, I was a queen. But a queen who had just fought a silent, painful battle at the castle gates, and somehow had won. Inside, the ballroom was even more breathtaking than I had imagined. Chandeliers dripped with crystals, sparkling like captured constellations. Music, soft and elegant, drifted through the air. Tables draped in white linen were adorned with lavish floral centerpieces. The scent of expensive perfume and gourmet food filled the air. But my heart still ached from the brutal encounter at the door. The beauty of the room felt distant, unreal. Sarah and Mrs. Henderson fussed over me, guiding me to a quiet alcove, offering me a glass of chilled water, asking repeatedly if I was okay. I assured them I was, or that I would be. I had to be. The children were counting on it. My speech was counting on it. Mrs. Henderson gently squeezed my hand. Take a few deep breaths, my dear. You are here now, you are safe, and you are going to be magnificent. Soon it was time. The lights dimmed slightly. A hush fell over the chattering crowd. Mrs. Henderson walked gracefully onto the stage, a spotlight following her. Her voice, warm and resonant, filled the grand room. "Good evening, everyone. And welcome. Tonight is such a special night, a night of hope, a night of community, a night of giving. And we have a truly exceptional person to guide us through this inspiring evening." My heart began to hammer against my ribs again. This was it. She is someone whose passion for helping children achieve their dreams is truly inspiring. She's the brilliant founder of Hope Seeds, a small but mighty organization doing incredible life-changing work in our communities. And tonight, she's not just our valued partner, she's our esteemed host and keynote speaker. Please join me in giving a very, very warm welcome to the remarkable Miss Imani Williams. A wave of applause filled the room. Bright, warm spotlights shone on me as I walked from the alcove towards the stage. My legs felt a little shaky, like newborn fawns. Each step was a conscious effort. But as I reached the podium, as I looked out at the sea of expectant faces, a sense of calm, a strange sense of purpose, settled over me. I saw so many faces, some curious, some genuinely welcoming, and some, I knew, belonged to the people who had seen what happened outside, who had watched my humiliation and done nothing. I took a deep breath, clutching the sides of the podium for a moment to steady myself, then I began. "Thank you so much, Mrs. Henderson, for that incredibly kind introduction, and thank you all from the bottom of my heart, for being here tonight." My voice was stronger now, clearer, steady. "It's a profound honor to stand before you. An honor to be part of an evening dedicated to what matters most, our children's future." I paused, letting my eyes sweep across the room. I thought about the guards, their cold eyes, their dismissive words. I thought about Mr. Albright's averted gaze, about the easy assumptions people make based on how someone looks, where they think they belong. "Tonight, we are gathered to talk about opening doors for children," I continued, my voice gaining conviction. "We are here to discuss creating opportunities, fostering dreams, and making absolutely sure that every single child feels seen, feels valued, and knows, without a shadow of a doubt, that they belong." I saw a few people shift uncomfortably in their seats. Good, because sometimes, as many of us know, doors can seem firmly closed. Sometimes, we encounter barriers, visible, like a velvet rope, or invisible, like prejudice and doubt, that try to tell us we're not welcome, that we're not good enough, that our dreams are too big or too bold. My eyes unconsciously flickered to where Mr. Albright was seated. He was looking down at his plate. But the spirit of hope, the very spirit we're here to celebrate and nurture tonight, is about pushing those doors open. It's about knocking them down if we have to. It's about recognizing the inherent worth and limitless potential in everyone, regardless of their background, their circumstances, or what they look like. I didn't name names. I didn't point fingers, or recount the ugly details of what had happened just an hour before. I didn't need to. The truth of my words, fueled by the raw emotion of that experience, resonated in the sudden stillness of the room. My foundation, Hope Seeds, was born from that very idea, that even the smallest seed of hope, planted with care and belief, in the most unlikely soil, can grow into something magnificent, something life-changing. I then spoke about the children we served, their resilience, their brilliant, often overlooked, dreams, about the urgent work we all needed to do. My passion, sharpened by the earlier injustice, took over. The hurt I felt didn't break me, it fueled my words, giving them an unexpected fire, an undeniable power. When I finished, there was a moment of profound silence. A silence, so complete, you could hear a pin drop. Then the applause began. It started as a ripple, then grew into a wave, then a thunderous roar, louder, more sustained, more heartfelt than I could have ever imagined. People were getting to their feet, one by one, then in droves. Even Mr. Albright, looking genuinely remorseful, was standing and applauding. Mrs. Henderson beamed at me, tears in her eyes. The rest of the gala was a whirlwind, a dizzying emotional blur of warm smiles, firm handshakes, and heartfelt, often tearful, conversations. So many people came up to me, not just to praise my speech or pledge donations, but to apologize. Some apologized for what they had witnessed at the entrance. Others apologized for what they hadn't done, for not speaking up. Your words about closed doors, they hit home, one elegant older woman confided, her eyes moist. We all have a part to play in opening them. Mr. Albright eventually found me during a quiet moment by the dessert table. He looked deeply uncomfortable, his usual confident demeanor gone. Miss Williams, he began, his voice low and strained, about earlier, at the entrance. I am truly sorry. I should have said something. I should have intervened. I looked at him, letting the silence stretch for a moment. I saw genuine regret in his eyes, but the sting of his earlier dismissal hadn't fully faded. Yes, Mr. Albright, I said quietly but firmly. You should have. I didn't offer him easy absolution. He needed to sit with the weight of his inaction. He nodded slowly, looking humbled. You are an inspiration, Miss Williams. A true inspiration, he said quietly, before turning and walking away. I hoped he meant it. I hoped he'd remember this. The 2 guards who had blocked my way were gone when I left, much later that night. Replaced by a different security team, whose members nodded at me with polite respect. Mrs. Henderson assured me, the incident had been addressed firmly, and that there would be significant retraining. I didn't know exactly what that entailed. But I hoped, truly hoped, it meant they'd learn something profound about judgment and dignity. As my taxi drove me home through the glittering, indifferent city, the sapphire dress still shimmering softly in the dark, I replayed the night in my mind. The sharp, bitter sting of humiliation was still there, a dull ache deep in my chest. It would take time for that to fade. But it was now overlaid with a powerful, undeniable sense of triumph, not just because I had successfully hosted a prestigious gala, but because I had faced an ugly, demeaning moment of prejudice, and hadn't let it break me. I had found my voice when it mattered most. I had stood my ground, even when my knees were shaking and I felt like crumbling into a million pieces. That night taught me so many things. It was a harsh, painful reminder that prejudice is real, insidious, and it can rear its ugly head in the most unexpected places, even at a charity gala dedicated to uplifting children. It reminded me that appearances can be profoundly deceiving, and people are far too quick to judge based on superficialities, on preconceived notions of who belongs where. But more importantly, that night also reminded me of my own strength, my own resilience, my own worth. It confirmed that my work, my voice, my very presence, matters. The next day, and in the weeks that followed, donations to Hope Seeds surged beyond anything I could have dreamed. People called, they wrote emails, they stopped me on the street. Many mentioned my speech. They said they were inspired, moved to act. Perhaps, in a strange, unintended way, the ugliness I experienced at the entrance helped to amplify my message. It made the abstract concepts of closed doors and belonging painfully real, undeniably urgent. I won't ever forget the coldness in those guards' eyes, or the burning shame I felt under their scrutiny, or Mr. Albright's dismissive glance. Those moments are etched into my memory, but alongside them, I will also cherish the memory of Mrs. Henderson's unwavering support, Sarah's quick defense, and the incredible power I felt standing on that stage, speaking my truth. My journey, I know, is far from over. There will be other closed doors, other moments of doubt, other battles to fight, both big and small, but now I know, with a certainty that settles deep in my bones, that I hold a key forged in determination, passion, and the refusal to be silenced. And I will keep turning it. For myself. For the children whose futures we are trying to build. For anyone, anywhere, who has ever been made to feel small, invisible, or that they don't belong. Because we all do. We all deserve a seat at the table, and sometimes, if we fight hard enough, and if we're brave enough, we even get to host the party. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like, leave a comment with your thoughts, subscribe for more stories like this, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening.